universe is calling you. The universe is calling me. It speaks both day and night. It's full of dark and light.
Hello and welcome to Sky Tour Radio. This is Mark D'Antonio, and this here is Tara Diulis, that wonderful artist who's helped us so much out in Arizona. And we are bringing you this show from the Arizona location, and we're going to have a good night tonight. And we have down below, we have Amanda down below here, and we have Daryl over here. You know, Daryl, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you, Mark. Hello, hello, Tara. Hello, Amanda.
Amanda, that's right.
Hello, everybody.
Amanda Astronomy.
I've missed you guys.
Yep.
Yeah, it's been far too long. Let's not make this a habit.
I know it's terrible. You know, we get so busy. You know, this past week has been sort of a blur. You know, I have so much going on as well as everybody else, and so we didn't get to a show last week because I just didn't have the time with things going on. But this week, last week's show is this week's show with some additions, so it's actually going to be kind of fun. We're going to have a good time. And, you know, I want to welcome you to Sky Tour Radio, and, you know, it is a corollary to Sky Tour live stream on YouTube. And Sky Tour live stream is our clear night journey into the wonders of the night sky, the deep night sky, the deep, wonderful objects of the night sky that you just don't see unless you have a telescope to look through. And that's courtesy of our research grade telescopes. And we've got them here in the desert with us, and we are going to be installing them tomorrow. Shh. And we basically give you an update too. We basically have everything ready to go, and so tomorrow is the install day, and so will be Tuesday, and maybe by Wednesday we are going to go live. That's ambitious, but we'll see. I also have to go to Los Angeles Thursday and do some taping that we were supposed to do back in November when we were filming a 2-hour documentary for Travel Channel, and now they have to bring all of us back to do some additional footage, and then I get to come back here after that, and then we go back into the desert, and in earnest we will be doing our streams again. So it's actually going to be fun. Now, Daryl's going to tell us also about something coming up, but you don't want to miss this coming week. Isn't that right, Daryl?
Sure.
Yeah, he knows. We're talking about things has to do with the moon. Shh, don't tell anybody. So Sky Tour live stream is something that you guys should subscribe to if you haven't already. You know, we look at all these deep, dark wonders of the night sky, glittering jewel boxes of stars in rich clusters. We see these wondrous phenomena, and you get to see them live. And because we have a live chat, you can interact with us directly. And who's us? Well, us is this lady down below. Okay, this guy over here, Daryl. Where is he? He's over there, right over there. Yeah, Daryl. No, he's over there. Daryl's right there. Okay, and myself, and occasionally Tara right here will join us. And so we bring you Sky Tour live stream as well. And so the same people that you're used to seeing on Sky Tour Radio or hearing and now seeing on Sky Tour Radio, you also get to see and hear on Sky Tour live stream. And whereas the radio show was all about astronomy and so forth, the Sky Tour live stream is about astronomy, but with details. Now, we have some new equipment that we're showcasing in this new observatory. This new equipment is absolutely stunning, and you're going to see things like never before. I've actually, through the help of a company in Tucson, Arizona called Starizona, I forgot my hat. This hat's out on the counter. Starizona is a beautiful, wonderful group of people run by Dean Koenig, and they will take care of all your astronomy needs. When I was there picking up the equipment, And I trust these people with my telescope to repair it after it went haywire. Last time I was here in April, they actually they talk like astronomers. They talk like you. If you know equipment, they know it better, and they tell you what you need. They don't say, "Well, you can try looking for this." They don't do that. They say you need this, this, and this to interface from that and that. I mean, it is as direct and as simple as possible. And that's Starizona. Professional astronomers for professional astronomers. I heartily recommend that you talk to them. And we are going to take all that equipment that we got from them in addition to what we had. And we have literally, through Starizona, been able to increase the capacity and capability of our telescope in the SkyTour live stream building by literally a whopping 25 times.
That's crazy.
25 times the capability thanks to this new system. And look, I'm an astronomer, and you tend to think you know enough about certain things, right? Boy, was I wrong. They showed me a whole bunch of things I didn't know, especially about the way the systems work, the way they work things. My system, if those of you that know cameras, they have f-stops, okay? F22 is a tiny little hole that the light comes in. F2 is a big opening, okay? Obviously, the bigger the opening, the more light can come in, and the faster that system will acquire light. So a lower F number, okay, means that more light comes in. It's a faster optical system. The camera will capture things faster. We had a telescope that was an f8, and it's becoming an f2. Now that means that our gigantic 10-inch diameter scope is now improving to the point where we can capture something that would normally take 4 to 6 minutes to capture in just a few seconds. Now, in the dark Arizona sky, which I'm going to show you shortly, you're going to see so much more in the night sky. I am literally pumped. I want to grab this microphone and go, I can't believe we're going to be able to do this. And I got to pinch myself to make sure I am here, But don't worry, Tara will punch me and let me know that I'm actually here. Yeah, she'll do.
I'll do it.
Don't be so volunteery, okay? I mean, she's all volunteery over there. She's volunteery-eyed. So I think that that's really cool, and we'll get to actually showcase some of this for you, hopefully in the next couple days. So we're excited, and I hope you are too. And so join us on SkyTour Livestream on YouTube. And I hope that you guys can stick with us as we do our SkyTour radio in conjunction with SkyTour Livestream. We love doing both. And Daryl and Amanda really have a good time. And later on today in this show, we're going to actually hear from Daryl, who's going to give us a wonderful sky update. Yay. And we're going to, exactly.
Yay.
He knows his stuff. Yep.
That's great.
Yep. And before we do that, I wanted to show you something. As part of SkyTour Livestream, we actually set up this all-sky camera out in the desert. And this all-sky camera is a 180-degree view all the way around, okay? You see all the horizons.
All the sky?
The whole sky.
Okay.
That's why it's called an all-sky cam.
Okay.
And
No.
You knew that.
I did.
See that? Trying to be, it's okay. She wins anyway. So the all-sky camera caught something really interesting. And I do a nightly SkyTour live stream all-sky video that I post on Facebook and other social media. But I thought it'd be kind of cool to show you kind of what I found one night. And I showed this to Daryl. He's seen it already. Amanda may have seen it. And I know our intrepid producer, Bill, has seen it. And Tara has seen it. But maybe you guys didn't. But it's this right here. Okay, you look, and this is the view of our night sky in Arizona. There's no Milky Way yet. That's still below the horizon. But these are the spring skies. That in the upper right, you see that brightened area. Well, that is the lights of Phoenix 65 miles away. Because even though we're 65 miles away, you still get some light, especially when you have such a sensitive camera. But on the left side, do you see that weird spike of light? going from about the 9 o'clock position up toward midnight, little diagonal. You know what that is? That is something we've talked about before. It's called zodiacal light. It's the remnant dust that's illuminated by the sun, reflecting into the camera's lens. This light is very, very dim, and only in a really dark sky sight can you see it. Well, I guess we qualify, because look at that. Here it is. It's beautiful, and you see it in the spring and in the fall, and it's just gorgeous. And it tells you that you're really at a dark sky site. And I remember when I showed it to Daryl, he thought this was pretty cool. And Daryl, you've seen the zodiacal light, right?
Oh, yeah. I mentioned before, the best view of it I ever got was taking pictures of Comet Hale-Bopp back in March of 1997. I had a beautiful western horizon, and the sun set, and it started getting dark, and here was this beautiful sort of a tilting triangle of light over on the western horizon, and it was the color of sunlight, and it was also the same color as the comet's dust tail was, and it was zodiacal light. It was just brilliant, and it was amazing. It was stunning.
Yeah, and here it's the same thing. Now, I'll tell you right now. Okay, I know my astronomy, right? Well, apparently, even I can be fooled. I wasn't ready to see this in the sky. I thought, who the heck's got their lights on over there? Now, that's in the west. That should have been the first clue for me. This is the west on the left side. Okay, east is on the right side. North, of course, is down below, and south is up at top. Okay, and I thought, western horizon, who's got their lights on? Oh, no, that's going to ruin everything. There better not be a mall over there or something, because I didn't think. And then as the night wore on, I noticed that it was getting fainter and fainter and going more below the horizon. And that's when it hit me. I'm so stupid. This is the zodiacal light. Holy cow, this is the zodiacal light. This is amazing stuff. I've never, ever seen this before, ever in my life.
Really?
So seeing it for the first time was crazy.
It's cool. It's really cool.
When you're at a really dark site, the zodiacal light will actually continue all the way up to the zenith. Mm-hmm. And when you see it at the zenith, like at midnight, it's called a Gegenschein. Countershine, I think it means.
Okay. Yeah, and again, when we have the all-sky camera running every night out there, so during the middle of a Sky Tour live stream session, we will, of course, be going back and forth to the all-sky cam to show people what the current sky looks like. It's actually how we gauge our weather and our seeing. Astronomers use seeing and transparency generally for figuring out the quality of the sky for the night. Seeing is, how shaky the stars look. Are they really flickering a lot? Transparency is how clear the air is. And when I was doing projects in astronomy and very large astronomy domes with very large telescopes, we had to calculate the seeing and the transparency for every single night. Sometimes we would do it 2 or 3 times a night to make sure that we knew exactly what we were looking through to do our images of stars when we were working on what's called the parallax program, which we were studying nearby stars and the distances to the nearby stars. And so we would calculate the seeing and the transparency. And I have to say, out in the desert, the seeing is excellent. On a scale of 1 to 5, I'd say that it averages a 4. And the transparency out in the desert, again, excellent. It averages around a 4. So it's really a good sight. And it's just beautiful.
Is seeing believing then at that place?
Seeing believing? Oh, you betcha.
Believing, yes.
You betcha. Yeah, seeing is definitely believing. And you can stand out there, and it's weird because suddenly, you stand out in the middle of this desert spot, and you look up at this beautiful sky, and you suddenly feel so small out there. You look up, and you feel so small. You hear nothing. Dead silence. You don't hear a highway with cars going by. You don't hear anything. You don't hear anyone. You don't hear TVs. You don't hear anything loud or anything like that. It's dead silence. There's sometimes you hear some night noise, as I call it, of creatures, but it's beautifully silent all the other time. So this is what we get out there. It's really just a stunning, stunning location. Now, we also see other things out there. Okay, here's an example. This is another one. If you notice, sort of just right of center, you can see a little flash object. It's sort of elongated. That's a meteor. We capture meteors all night long out there. We have hundreds, thousands actually, of frames of meteors. Those are little pieces of debris that come into the Earth's atmosphere every night. Each night, I wonder if you guys listening know how much meteoric dust and particles and rock hit the Earth every single night. The answer might astonish you. It's over 100 tons a night.
Wow.
Right on cue. Holy cow.
Wow.
Actually,
That's crazy.
she did not know that answer, so I think that might have been genuine.
It was.
It's 100 tons a night, and it's quite a lot. Those are metric tons, by the way.
Oh, well.
Don't worry, it's about the same.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, we see meteors quite a lot out there. Now, what's funny is this particular meteor. If you look at the very center of the screen, you see 3 stars in a curve. Well, if you look just to the left of those 3 stars in a curve, you'll see the rest of the Big Dipper, which is upside down in this view. And the curve of those handle stars goes down through the meteor to another bright star. And that bright star is one of the heralds of spring. It's called Arcturus in the constellation of Boötes. And Daryl's talked about Boötes in the past, actually, quite a bit. And we'll hear from him again about the evening sky and possibly what's coming up in a little while as well. So we do catch a lot of meteors, which are really cool. And we just, the all-sky camera is its own little telescope kind of a thing. Now, the weird thing, the thing that I thought was pretty cool is I also capture things like this. Now, if you look closely,
That's
you'll
really
notice
cool.
What's that?
That's really cool.
Isn't it cool?
What an image.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah.
If you look at the lower left of that image, you'll see that the exposure time is 24 seconds. So in 24 seconds that something went across the sky and it was blinking. Those bright dashes go out every now and then. If this was just one continuous bright line, then whatever those lights were would be on the whole time. But they're blinking as it's going over. So this may be an aircraft of some kind, but it's odd, isn't it? Because there's no aircraft that have a straight row of lights that you know of, perhaps, underneath the belly like this, except for one particular type of aircraft. And that's an aerotanker, or aerial refueling tanker, has a row of lights underneath. That row of lights on the bottom helps pilots align with the fuel boom at night when they're flying up to it. Kind of like there's a meatball on an aircraft carrier where pilots fly and align with this particular set of lights to land on the flight deck of a pitching and rolling aircraft carrier deck. Well, if you're a plane up in the sky trying to align with an aero tanker, you're going to have to line up somehow with the boom that comes down that you have to connect with. I mean, it's almost like it's a tiny little target in a vast sky. So the lights help you align with it. And I just didn't know that they flashed. That was weird to me. But that, to me, I believe, is a KC-135 air tanker. So it's pretty neat. I really find it to be quite an interesting thing. But right after this happened, about, I'd say within a minute and a half, this showed up. Now you say, what's this? The giant spider from Gideon 5 who came down to attack the Earth there on the right in the light? No, that's just a tiny little spider on the dome of the camera. But to the lower left of the spider, you see this curve in the sky. What's that? Well, it's not a satellite. It's certainly not Starlink in any way, shape, or form. Satellites run straight through the sky. But this is doing a curve, and it did it in 24 seconds. And before this exposure was taken, the rest of the circle was completed by it. There's another shot, and it's a little fainter. but it was a circular path way up in the sky that this thing did. And I have actually, truthfully, don't know what it was. I thought, well, if this was flying over an aero tanker, then maybe what this is a jet trying to circle to link up with it and do aerial refueling training. I thought that might make a lot of sense, except for the fact that if it was a jet, it doesn't have lights like a regular aircraft. So the only light we would see coming from it would be its nozzle, the jet exhaust. But because I saw almost a complete circle from this, a very small circle actually, it indicated to me that it can't be, or at least it doesn't fit the pattern of an ordinary jet. Why? Because that jet nozzle would not be visible for a great deal of the curve. It would only be visible as it was going away from us. And that's when we would catch it. When it was coming toward us and starting to turn the circle, we wouldn't see that at all. Yet in the previous frame, it's also there, but fainter. So I honestly don't know what it was. The only way you'd see it like that is if it was actually running its afterburners. And in that case, I don't think you can do such a tight curve in the sky. You might be able to. So it could just be my lack of military aircraft operations that is preventing me from understanding it. But if you think about it, that's a pretty cool oddity. And that's something that I didn't know what it was. I posted this on Facebook and said, look, it could be a fighter turning to align with this. Okay. And maybe those lights, because they're so bright on the bottom of the aero tanker, maybe it looks like it's lower than it is. Maybe it is actually up at the altitude of this strange circular oddity. And it's just very bright. So it looks lower than it is. That's an illusion that's often created. So I think that perhaps that's a possibility there. I don't know.
May I make a comment?
Please do.
I made mention at the time you first showed me this image,
You
Mark,
did, yes.
and I see it now vaguely. But when you go back to those other two pictures of the aircraft trail,
Yeah.
You see the spider over on the left. I see something right to the left of the spider.
Yep.
And then the next image where the trails are gone, I think there was one other one, but again, I see it just to the left of the spider. It looks almost like a smaller version. There you go, without the spider. But there on the right, far right, I see it by itself there in the sky. Looks like a smaller version of that same curve of light.
I noticed that, and when I researched it there and looked at it, I believe that's actually a stellar pattern, star pattern over there. But it's tight, and so it looks like that over there. I wish people could see my cursor with StreamYard, but they can't. So my cursor is not able to be seen. But what Darryl was saying is just to the left of the spider, he sees a little, area that looks like more of a curve, a smaller curve. And he's right; it does look like it's there in a lot of these shots. Okay, but that's an alien grasshopper. Okay. That's on our footage here on our view.
See, I see all these bugs getting cameos. What about that owl that dropped by? Where's he?
Oh yeah, that was a previous show we actually had, because this is a 360 degree view, 180 degrees all around. Okay, so let me show you because it's probably best to just show it. Okay, when we look at the observatory, okay. Right here on the end, on the right side, okay, you can't see it in this picture because it wasn't installed yet. At the right end of those brown posts is the all-sky camera on the end. And these horizontal beams then become favorite haunts for creatures that want to land in the middle of hunting for things. And one of them that landed, as Amanda just said, was an owl. And the owl landed there, and then it took off, probably looking for rodents of some kind. And so that is the other thing that we have happening out there. We have a lot of wildlife that tend to come out here and hang out with us. And that's exactly what happened there. So it's really very cool. I like very much that we're a mecca for wildlife and insect life It is kind of cool, though. This guy just decided to give us a full-on display here. And he was there for a couple of frames, and then he was gone. But, when they usually sit, they'll just stick around for a while, so I put that in here to show you.
I just added our owl. Can he get a cameo?
Oh, you did?
I
Oh,
did.
here he is. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Cool.
There he is at the top
That's
left.
neat.
Yeah. Yeah. He for those of you
He's
that
not
are,
bad.
well, for those of you that are familiar with some of these other movies and stuff, it does kind of look like a Dementor. Okay. But he's sitting on the crossbar of the observatory right there, and probably just resting between hunts or whatever. Thank you for putting that up, Amanda.
Cool.
Yeah. Oh, he deserves a cameo.
Yeah.
Way better than spiders, I think.
Yeah,
I
agree.
I have a desert pic to share also with you, Mark, of an animal.
Okay, great.
I don't know how to put it up. It's in brand over on the right, down at the bottom.
Yep.
Okay.
Did somebody post that? There you go.
Excuse me, but the others sent me up here to ask you to please not roll around so much. That's very funny. Yeah. And I went hunting for scorpions yesterday, and I didn't see any actually.
Good.
I tried to find them, but there's a local area around here called Weaver's Needle. I'll look it up. It's really cool. And at Weaver's Needle, I typically will do these astronomy sessions, and I'll be doing them in November again with folks. And in the parking lot with an ultraviolet light, these things show up so bright and purple that you can see them from 100 yards away easily. And out in the parking lot at Weaver's Needle, you can see not one, not two, but maybe easily 900 to 1,000 little bright ultraviolet splotches. Those are the remains of run-over scorpions by the cars that come through that circle up there as they go into the park and out. It's amazing.
Wow.
So lots of them.
Aw.
Yeah. If this happened to me, I would say, I'll tell you what, I'll just leave the bag and you guys can have it. Thanks, Daryl. That's cool.
Sure.
Very cool. So,
And I know Genghis in chat was saying whatever that swoop was, whatever that curve was,
Our
they
odyssey
might have
here,
actually
yeah.
just been there to check out your setup. Whatever it was, that was the real motive behind it.
Genghis, Genghis is
He's on it.
Genghis, you may have
He's
it.
pretty smart.
You may have it.
Yeah.
I think so, because actually not far from this setup is a UFO buried in the ground. And when I say UFO buried in the ground, I'm not kidding.
It's there.
It's really there.
I've seen it. Mhm.
Tara's seen it because she's been there. See, we actually ran a boot camp for Mutual UFO Network UFO investigators, and as part of that, the owners of the property took the time and the money, and they spent all that time and money to create a UFO 12 feet in diameter. 12 feet. We're not talking a little thing, with a top, a bottom, and stainless steel panels, and they buried it in the ground like it had crashed to a stop. And we used that as a biological sample recovery site. Okay.
That sounds fun.
And when it was first put in the ground before the boot camp started, okay, let me just say it this way. You saw that we had things like, this aero tanker and what maybe could have been fighters. Well, all night long when you're out at the site, fighter jets go over. All day long, fighter jets go over, usually in pairs. Okay. And these fighter jets are from Luke Air Force Base, which is not too far from here as far as flying goes. So the Luke pilots in these fighters saw this crash site from the air. And they called in, I don't know what it was, but they called in a hot tip to the local sheriffs and said, there's something that crashed in the desert, some kind of aircraft. It's disc-shaped. No lie. This happened. And the owner of the property is sitting out there, and he's retired, and he's just lounging, and all of a sudden, this sheriff's helicopter shows up. It lands on his property, and said, "What happened? What crashed out here? What is it? What's going on?" And when he explained what's going on, well, we're teaching a boot camp. This was in 2014, and I swear to you, this is true. He said, "Well, we're teaching a boot camp, teaching people how to respond to UFO crashes, blah blah blah." He goes, "Wow, that's a UFO, and well, not a real one. It's fake. We put it there as a test site." And the guy was astonished and loved it. And that story made the rounds amongst the sheriff's department and so forth, and they actually were pretty pretty enthused by it all, actually. So it's really kind of a cool thing. So we do have a UFO not far from where this camera is. I would say from this camera at the end of this pole there, at the end of that pole, if you walk behind the camera about 250 feet, maybe 300 feet, the UFO is there in the ground. And I might have mentioned before, the observatory is not on the public grid. It's actually off the grid. Our panel power, the power to all the electricity and computer systems comes from the sun. And the energy stored during the day. The property owner has these gigantic solar panels up on the property that follow the sun all day long. It's beautiful, and we end up getting all of our power for free. And I thought, what a way to go. We have the STLS door that Tara here made. We have this beautiful observatory that many of you helped us fund. And then we have an observatory that's actually green and doesn't cost a dime to operate because of that. I think that's pretty cool. It's just really, really cool. Hey, Genghis, thanks. Yeah, we encourage interaction too, by the way. I know, some radio programs, they don't really encourage that too much, but we're all about that. We're all about that. We're happy to do that. We're happy to talk to everybody.
Now we have a wonderful community here,
Dingo.
and a dog. We have a wonderful community here. Always so helpful, so knowledgeable, and very patient. Good things are coming. Be a little more patient. It'll all be worth it. And I just posted our YouTube link for those who haven't subscribed yet. Please consider joining because
please do.
I mean, if you thought it was good before, Arizona is darker, clearer, earlier. So
take a look at this.
More content.
This is the Milky Way from the observatory side. Okay.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's beautiful. But you see this red along the horizon? This photo I took right after the sunset. And to my eye, it looked like it was just past dusk. The sky wasn't really black. But look at the photo I got of the Milky Way, even still with the light of the sunlight still being shown on the high clouds far in the distance.
Beautiful.
Where do you see Milky Way like that except in the true dark sky sight? And here we got it, I mean, it's only darker in the Galapagos Islands, to be honest with you, at this particular location. And I did investigate putting an observatory in the Galapagos, but Ecuador didn't want to talk to me about it. Yeah, I know. That's the way it is. But no, they were going to get this in there. Here's the telescope in the building. Actually, we installed this telescope in the building, and unfortunately, twice when we installed it, Tara was there to help. It went haywire. And we're like, oh, no, what went wrong? And it was doing it when I was in Connecticut, because I was testing it in Connecticut. But when I was doing it in Connecticut, something wasn't quite going right. And I said, well, that's got to be me. I must be doing something wrong. Well, it turned out I wasn't doing anything wrong. The telescope was doing something wrong. And so this system went haywire, and I had to get it repaired. Well, to get it repaired would have cost me time and money, and it would have to have gone all the way to Mexico to get repaired. And it would have been 6 to 8 weeks, they said. I was not going to wait 6 to 8 weeks. Not going to happen. Not going to happen. So I ended up finding Starizona down in Tucson, and Starizona did the repair and did a phenomenal job. And so I think giving business to Starizona, great idea. You'll see their name listed on our streams from now on, because they are a real excellent people to deal with.
I need to talk with them.
What's that?
I need to talk with Starizona.
Yeah.
You said you had a runaway declination problem, right?
And right ascension and declination.
Oh, right. Really? Yeah.
Yeah. What that means, let me just tell folks, what that means is, when you look at the middle of the screen here, you see those forks, okay? Well, they were rotating left and right madly without my input. And then here, the declination is the up and down motion where the tube can go up into the sky, down below. And it was running away, going crazy. And we didn't know what was causing it. And Starizona figured it out. So go ahead, Daryl. I'm sorry.
Oh, well, no, it's okay. Now, my mead did the very same thing, and it still does it. And, I mean, it did it when I got it back for mead for service. And I contacted them, and they said, yeah, send it back and send us another $250, and we'll fix it for you. So, heck with mead.
Yeah,
So I may take up Starizona instead.
Yeah, Starizona actually will they have they actually primarily operate with Celestron telescopes, and Celestron telescopes are really good as well. The mead scopes aren't bad, don't get me wrong, but the service is, and they don't make it easy for you to get service, and I can't stand that. Especially when we have so much counting on it. A lot of you waiting for us to do something. I couldn't stand that. Making you guys wait. I didn't want to wait. You didn't want to wait. Heck with it.
Well,
so
it's been my experience as well.
Yeah. So we're done with mead, unfortunately. We're also done with flat earthers. So hey, look, take that, flat earthers. Okay, checkmate. Okay, there you go. So I'm pretty sure that what we're gonna do is stick with mead for this telescope and move on to others later on. So we actually, in putting in the pier, this is a big steel pier we had made out there, courtesy of our friends here that were able to do it. This is the guy that actually built our building that you see in the middle of the screen on the left. That's me peering on, totally doing nothing to help, but to just stare and make it look like I'm doing something. Yep. And so that was Jesse, right? I believe on the left, and Ramon on the right. Right? The Ramon?
That's
yeah.
correct.
And they not only installed the pier for me, they leveled it, which is what they're in the process of doing now. They leveled the pier so that we could get it locked down, ready for accepting the telescope.
They're great.
They're great people, yeah. So Jesse Casso, C-A-S-O, really, really good guy. If you have anything you need built, this guy does it. He built this entire building. He sheeted it with our metal siding, and you know what? Not one complaint. He said, "What can I do for you, sir? How do you want me to do it?" And then I can take it from there. And that's the kind of guy he is. And Tara here, okay, well, she was the foreman on the job out there, and she actually...
It was fun. It was fun.
Oh, she ran these guys into the ground.
I really did.
And she said... Poor guys. I mean, she made sure that they did everything that I wanted done for the telescope, so that we can bring views like this to you and sunsets like this. Beautiful. Okay, I think that's actually a photo you took that you sent.
I think it might be.
Yeah. But we are looking forward to this. This will be, this is a photo I took. We're looking forward. Well, I just, it was a day. The day was beautiful. Yeah. Okay. To an astronomer, that's lousy because it means there's clouds in the night sky coming. We don't want that, But if you notice the door of the observatory here, you'll see that STLS on the left there. Check this out. This is a close-up of the door. This is Tara's door.
And we have some chat in the chat room. Have there been any winners or anyone anywhere close?
Not yet. See, we are offering, there's high-res photos of this on our Facebook site. And every single bottle cap that makes these are bottle caps, by the way, just so you know. Tara used colored bottle caps that she's been collecting for years. Had nothing to do with them, and said, maybe I can unload them on this stupid guy's observatory door. And then she chose to do that, and we ended up with a fantastically beautiful door thanks to her. And I'm not saying that just because she's sitting next to me. Okay, she'll hit me anyway. But the thing is, I have to just say, truthfully and honestly, that for her to think of this whole thing, first of all, and then to make an Orion Nebula like this, and then to go searching through thousands and thousands of different color bottle caps and sorting them, number one, the sorting was a problem, right? Yeah. And then to apply them where each one is put down. Yes, you sure did, Justin. Thank you. To apply them, put each one down in a permanent manner. These are the original colors of the caps, too. Okay. The reds were from
Sierra Nevadas, I think.
And the orange was from
Newcastle's.
And the blue was Bud Light, I believe.
Yeah, there's Bud Light. There's a mix.
And the black.
There's a mixture of them. I don't remember.
Okay. And before you say it, no, she didn't drink all this.
Just no.
She collected them. She collected them from places that had them.
Right.
So, right.
I may have added a couple, but not that many.
Not that many.
1,326.
Yeah, that's you say that every time, and the number still hasn't changed to that, Daryl. I'm sorry.
Thanks, Isabella.
But you know what? Thank you, Isabella Melamed from Sofia, Bulgaria. Says those are beautiful. Thank you, Isabella. 2020, huh? Yeah, not quite. But you know what? I'll tell you what. If you come within 25 of the actual number, you know what you win? You win this. Cool. This is a 3D printed, actually stereolithography printed moon that we do in our shop. Ooh. And I paint it by hand. And this is the moon. Every crater, almost every crater is actually visible on the moon to a certain size. You see the rays of craters. Okay. You see, all the main craters are visible, and they are just ultimately detailed. And so when we will present this for free to whoever guesses how many bottle caps between 25 within 25 caps are on this. Now, here's how simple this is, quote unquote. In the high-res image online on our Facebook Sky Tour live stream site, if you dig, you'll find it. Every cap is visible. You just have to figure out how to count them. They're all visible. There's no hidden caps. There's nothing hidden there. It's all visible. This is the photo it's taken from. Every single bottle cap's visible. Winner gets a beautiful stereolithography moon, hand painted. This is a piece of art. This is hundreds of dollars if you want to buy it.
Made by you.
Yeah. I was going to say, Ronald might not be confident in his guess, so he wants to know if he wants to buy one. How much are they?
Yeah, they're going to be $275 to buy.
Wow.
And they're pieces of art. They're pieces
it's gorgeous. It's gorgeous.
And it has a stand as well.
Yes, it does. The stand's not shown here because I want to show the size. But I actually made a stereolithography stand too that says the moon.
Just in case you weren't sure.
In case you weren't sure. Well, it could be Mercury.
Good. No,
yeah.
Okay. Like the moon to me.
Yeah, and at some point I'm going to make all the planets. Okay,
cool.
Including the Earth, but they're going to be STLs like this.
That's really cool.
Oh, Kathy, you're sweet. Thank you so much. And that's what I love about this community, guys. I absolutely adore the fact that you guys are so supportive of SkyTour live stream and SkyTour radio. You guys, thank you, Greg. Oh, I like Hal. He has the Hal as his icon. I like that. It's like, very nice,
He's
Dave. I love that painting, Dave.
Nice, Mark.
Yeah. Yeah. Put away your moon, please, Hal. I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that. I love that. That's right, Elliot. Yeah, thanks, Chris. Yeah, holding the moon in the palm of the hand. That's correct. So we would the power. What power we have over the moon? Yeah, it's so cool. So again, you win that if you can guess within 25 caps what's on here. And
good luck, everyone.
Yeah, I hope
you win.
No one's guessed, but I can tell you, to be honest, I'll give you a clue. There's more than 500, and there's less than 5,000.
That's correct.
I think you may have inadvertently given a clue a couple of minutes ago. Somebody said 2020, and you said not quite.
Okay. Well, be that as it may, that's a long way from 25 from the actual answer.
That's true.
But keep it up. It's hard to believe, okay? But when you look at something of this magnitude, right? I've been an artist for years too, and I focused on all kinds of different media and so forth. But I never ever thought about bottle caps. And part of the art is creativity, and taking your creativity and moving into a space where you can say, "Hey, I'm going to do something really cool with bottle caps." I mean, I did do I'll do something really cool with dead bugs.
Cool.
I'll make a bug collection.
Cool,
right?
I think.
Yeah, I think, that cockroach is still alive. They don't die,
Oh, that's true.
Yeah. So anyway, so again, it's really kind of a cool thing. If you guys can guess how many are in here, you win one of these, and that's a freebie from me. If you want to buy it, it's going to be like $275, and but it's a hand-painted piece of art, so it is accurate too. It's not a suggested moon; it's the actual moon. That's the real moon.
Wow.
Yes.
You
Well,
are-
you know what I thought about, and I couldn't do this because that would turn this into a priceless object. I'd like to embed in each moon an actual moon rock.
Oh.
Yeah. And when I talked to some of the curators, one of them at Goddard, I was met with this look.
Well, yeah, I'd rather see the real thing. I mean, but maybe moon dust.
What? Yeah, moon dust would be cool.
That's cool.
Yeah, but then people would just want the moon dust in a little vial and say, "This is moon dust," instead of looking at it and saying, "It's in here. Hear it?" Yeah. So I thought it was pretty cool. So in any case, that's really cool. And I know that we haven't even gotten really started with tonight's show so much, except this whole update kind of thing is really cool, and you guys get to see some neat stuff. But again, as Amanda said, if you haven't subscribed to Sky Through live stream, please do it. It's free. Join us, have fun. And if you want to read a good book, read The Populated Universe. Yeah, okay, I wrote it, but it's about exoplanets and the crucible of life here on planet Earth. How did it start? And what's really interesting about that is, and that you can find that book on Amazon, by the way. What's really interesting is how it turns out life may have actually started here. Some of the more recent data indicates that the very things that destroy the surface of our planet might actually have been the crucible of life. And those are volcanoes. Now, it's really interesting how that seems to work. And what I'd like to do, we'll just play a little video as we're talking here. I don't know if I can do that while it's playing, but I think I can, right, Amanda?
Sorry, what are you playing? A video or sharing screen?
I'm going to play this video.
Yep, you can talk.
Okay. So this is Geldingadalur volcano in Iceland. If you haven't seen it yet, this is a beautiful 4K video online, and you can actually watch a drone fly over the eruption that's currently going on at Geldingadalur volcano in Iceland. And the rumble is real, okay? It's really, really something, okay? And the volcano
Can you turn the volume down on the video a bit? I'm having trouble hearing you.
Yeah, is this better?
Thank you.
All right. I actually didn't know I could do the volume until just now. So, yeah, this is Geldingadalur, and the drone, one guy flew a drone so close to this that his drone melted, and you actually see it melt. You see the camera just start to get narrow and narrow field. You see things drooping, and then all of a sudden it goes off.
Wow.
The guy got the drone back. But think about it. That's liquid rock flying around. That's not light. You get hit with a particle the size of your fist, it'll kill you. Not just from the heat. It's falling from a height of about 1,000 feet. Because that thing opened up in the ground and started spewing lava. Just an immense volume of lava, and the volume has actually increased in recent weeks. It's been going since April, and it has covered many square miles already, and 7 volcanic vents opened up along a line, a fissure. And this volcano, sometimes you watch it live. If you look up Iceland volcano on YouTube, all right, wait until after the show. But when you look it up live, you'll actually see the live view, and you may not see anything happening, but every few minutes the volcano goes and does this. Okay, it's really, really amazing. Hey, how you doing, Eric? Amazing American Road Warrior. Yeah, and so we look at this and say everything that lava touches will destroy any life that we know, and that's true. That's really true. But this was how Iceland was formed. And there's large eruptions going on in Iceland throughout history, and it really draws crowds. In a sense, this is sort of like a baby volcano, and people get to watch this volcano. And when they watch this volcano, they sit on the ridge with popcorn and other food. They have to trek miles to go see it because, of course, volcanoes don't conveniently open up in the middle of cities like they should. No, I'm kidding. And they actually watch. It'd be kind of cool. And they watch them, and you see there's like thousands of people that have visited the volcano, and when they're sitting there watching the volcano, they're thinking of all the destruction and everything that happens and all the lava that touches anything. It just vaporizes it, right? Including you, if you did. Well, we look at volcanoes and say they destroy life, but how could they actually be the crucible of life? How could they actually become or create life? Is there a way that they can? And you think of volcanoes as giving off lava that just cools and becomes rock, and that's where you leave it. But there's something that happens with volcanoes that occur under the ocean, like Surtsey, okay, which is, I think, off the Icelandic coast, I believe. And Surtsey, previously the undersea volcanoes, they actually create a number of amino acids, which are important to life, okay, as well. And for instance, over time, and there was an experiment done in the 50s called the Miller-Urey experiment, Miller-Urey, U-R-E-Y. And the Miller-Urey experiment had a flask of gas that was like the primordial atmosphere in this chamber. And they bombarded it with electrodes to simulate lightning. And then after a week, at the bottom of the flask, there was this dark brown sludge. That dark brown sludge was these amino acids, the building blocks of life. So we knew that lightning helped forge the amino acids from which we are made, okay, in part. So you know how I've said, and I've said it in the book as well, okay, that wherever we look, we see the building blocks of life, all right? And that's true. Well, it turns out that subsea volcanoes also create one such building block of life that had hitherto not been known. And what it is something that you find by looking at the volcanic gases that are emitted. And a team of researchers took carbon monoxide, which is a carbon atom and an oxygen atom, CO, all right, and then something called methyl thiol. And they combined it with nickel and iron sulfides. Now, what does all that mean? The result here, why exactly? The result was they created something. These are all volcanic gases, okay? And they combined it with these two other chemicals, nickel and iron sulfides. And the result was something called thio, acetic acid. Now, we say, well, what the heck is that? And why is that important? Well, it turns out that might have been very, very important at the subsea hydrothermal vents, those sulfide chimneys, what we call the black smokers, which spew this black material up into the under on the bottom of the ocean from these vents underneath. And this is the thioacetic acid is a crucial part of their chemistry, and it turns out that it might actually play a very important role in the sub-ice surface and sub-ice locations on Europa around Jupiter. Now, this odd chemistry is very interesting, and the reason is when we talk about thioacetic acid, let's define that. Thio, Thio, that part of the word thioacetic, that's the sulfur equivalent of alcohol. Okay, so you know how you have alcohol, you give in your arm before they stick you in with a needle. Well, if you made a sulfur version of that alcohol, it would be the thio part, Thio. That's the prefix. It just means, in fact, there's a sulfur atom present in that molecule, and that sulfur atom is very important because it turns out that it's very close to something else that's very important to every human, every creature on this planet, because it's in every cell of every animal, and that's something again with another obscure name called acetyl, ACETYL, acetyl coenzyme A. What's that? It's central to life on Earth. And it's the same type of molecule as thioacetic acid, which is generated ultimately by subsea volcanoes. So if you recall, we talked about life stemming from a certain number of elements here on the planet Earth. We had carbon, we had hydrogen, we had oxygen, we had nitrogen, we had phosphorus and sulfur. It seemed odd, right? We all understand, well, carbon, yeah, we're carbon-based. Hydrogen, yeah, that's part of water. Part of water. Nitrogen, part of our atmosphere. Okay. Phosphorus, that's very important. We know about phosphorus. And sulfur, and we call that chomps, CHONPS, chomps, right? And the sulfur seemed odd in there, but now that you know that the sulfur is actually in every one of your cells as part of this acetyl coenzyme A, now you know that sulfur and the human body and animal creatures on this planet, they have a very intimate relationship with sulfur. And because of that, This is what gives us clues that maybe thioacetic acid, which can be the result of these volcanic eruptions and has sulfur in it, being so close to that acetyl coenzyme A, that's the right stuff that cells use, okay, for a lot of biochemical reactions. And maybe it turns out that the volcanic subsurface volcanoes, these objects under the water, were really the seed of life on Earth. Wow. Isn't that incredible? So chomps has more meaning to you now, and the idea is that this thioacetic acid might be able to form more complicated molecules, more complex molecules, and thus be a very big link that can explain the origin of life, not only on our world, most importantly, but on other worlds where life could possibly take hold, a habitable world for that reason. So it's for this reason that the thioacetic acid has ended up in this exoplanet roundup for tonight, which is what this was. So I know that we are going to have to be going to a break here soon, and I think we're running up on that, Amanda. Correct? Amanda's the timekeeper and everything else.
Yeah, people are already commenting about my on-screen name here, Commanda. So
you're the Commanda.
I mean, if someone has to nag Mark for breaks, it may as well be Commanda, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, about a little less than a minute. What can we tease them with to ensure they come back?
Well, coming up, we're going to talk about how it appears that on Mars, we found that there is active volcanoes that might actually have erupted in the recent past that might have generated new lava flows. And on a planet that we think is dead, it might turn out that Mars isn't after all.
Someone in chat was asking about that.
I can't see the chat, so I don't know. I'm not looking at the chat. I probably should, huh?
No. I guess that's what I'm there for. But
yep.
Everyone's very active, really enjoying the show tonight. So it was OG. Suppose Mars has live volcanoes. Well, stay tuned after the break, and we'll see. We'll see if your theory plays out.
Yep. Well, folks, tell you what. You heard Commanda. We will come back right after these words. This is Mark Antonio. That's Tara. That's Daryl. That's Amanda. And we thank our wonderful producer, Bill Skywatcher. We'll see you after the break.
Hey members, the new KGRA-DB app is now available on iOS and Android devices. Gain on-demand access to any KGRA-DB programming. Download any show directly to your mobile device to listen or watch on the go. Go to the App Store and search KGRA-DB.
I don't want to talk about it.
I don't want to talk about it.
Families don't have to talk about everything, but they should talk about how to plan for an emergency. Get tips and resources to make your family's emergency plan.
Welcome to the new KGRA digital broadcasting website, thekgradb.com. Here you'll find great new content, including the KGRA Classics, great shows from our archives. You'll be able to see the show times and information so you can see what show is currently on air. The on-air live button. So just go to this section and you'll be able to hear the show live with exceptional sound quality. We also have the Vault section. Make sure to subscribe to get access to great content and special features. We have the make content for our latest news and events, so make sure to sign up and you can be part of our forum. So make sure to check out the new KGRA digital broadcasting website, thekgradb.com. We look forward to seeing you there, and we hope that you enjoy the new website.
So, there's the hat, Starzona. Ta-da! Thanks to Marianne, she brought it in.
Yeah.
During the break, Tara was asking these amazing questions about Mars and volcanism, and so maybe we'll have her jump back to those. But the finding, they've done some findings, and it actually has to do with a lava field discovered in Elysium Planitia on Mars. And Elysium Planitia is a location that has been fairly well known over the years. I want to see if I've got any Mars imagery here that I can just drop in to show you. I did, but I the previous show I didn't actually keep it, apparently, so my mistake. Anyway, so on Elysium Planitia, they found a lava field that looks like it's possibly the youngest ever lava flow on Mars. And that's pretty cool, considering everything that's going on. Thinking Mars has been dead for so long. It just goes to show you our science is never 100%.
So what's young?
Well, think about it, okay? Think about this, okay? Considering the time that Mars has been around, if Mars was, say, 1 day old, okay, then this lava is from 1 second ago. So that's the relative time frame here. So it's an 8-mile wide ribbon of lava that erupted from a fissure on Mars. And it's very, very appropriate because of the Iceland volcano that we talked about and saw the video from earlier, because it's a similar eruptive situation on Mars at that time as we're seeing now in Iceland. The same kind of thing. We're having that same fissure eruption, all along fissures on Iceland, all along these fissures, little cones popped up and lava's flooded out, gone miles and miles. They're actually building giant berms, which are giant little hills like this, to prevent the lava from reaching roads. They didn't think they would ever have to worry about it. And now the lava's been spewing more and more in higher volume, and now they're concerned. So anyway, but on Mars, they found that this 8-mile wide ribbon, think about it, 8 miles wide, an 8-mile wide ribbon of lava. That's a lot of volume of molten rock, and how it's 8 miles wide, but how long is it? 12 feet?
How deep is it?
Yeah, well, it's 20 miles long. We don't know how deep it is yet, actually. But it looks like it was formed through an explosive eruption. All right. Kind of like what Tara did to me earlier tonight when she opened up a can of soda. She shook it first and said, "Look, shaking can." Okay. You shake the can and open it, and you get sprayed. Wipe that smile off your face. And so like a freshly opened can of soda that's been shaken, that's the kind of eruption that causes. And it matches what we call a pyroclastic explosion here on Earth, where you get an explosion of gas. The lava's full of gas, and that gas, as it gets near the surface, well, it opens up. And as you unscrew the cap of the shaken soda, you start to see the bubbles rise faster and faster. If the neck of that bottle is like a magma chamber below ground, as soon as you open the cap a little and it gets closer to the surface, those bubbles start to form and it goes and just shoots out. That's a pyroclastic explosion in the volcano world.
Wow.
And on a scale that can ruin civilizations. Just ask the Pompeians. Okay? Just ask the Tamborans. Just ask the Krakatoans. The people of these locations were killed by such explosions. And when that happens, it can, and Mars, okay, here's the thing. It's pretty significant that Mars' atmosphere is as thin as it is, okay? But at the time this happened, the Martian atmosphere was only a little bit thicker because it's recent history. But the gas and the ash cloud on Mars during this explosion might have gone up about 6 miles. 6 miles into the Martian atmosphere. And that's impressive because at 6 miles, you're above half of the Martian atmosphere. So an ash cloud of that size might easily go around the globe on planetary winds and just keep going around the globe for months and months, if not years. It could have taken a long time for the surface of Mars to be visible again after this. Because what happens is the planetary winds can take dust on the surface of Mars and propel it around the globe like that. And if we look at the way the winds work on Mars, see the particles on Mars, the particles of dust, if you will, the reddish particles that overlay some of the darker material, they're like talcum powder. You know how thin talcum powder is. You put powder on or whatever, and next thing you know, it's over every fixture. It's all over the place. It's on the floor. Well, that's how it is on Mars. The powder on Mars, the surface powder, the thinnest stuff is about the consistency of talcum powder. And I calculated how much speed of a wind you would need to lift that off the ground on Mars, considering how thin the atmosphere is. Okay? Of course I did. Well,
of course you did.
Inquiring minds want to know, And that the answer is you have to have a wind of about 65 miles per hour to lift a talcum powder type powder off the surface of Mars. When you stick your hand out of your car window here on Earth at 65 miles an hour, your hand's going like, whoa, whoa, whoa. If it faces into the wind, it goes way up and down, it goes down, and you almost can't control it. Sorry, I'm not going to try like the Three Stooges, like, certainly. But the thing is, when you think about Mars, your hand isn't going to get buffeted around at 65 miles an hour. You're barely going to feel it because the atmosphere is just a fraction of ours. That's what's interesting about Mars. You'll see almost no effect. It's odd to think about it because, the Mars atmosphere at its surface is the same density and thickness of the air here on Earth, okay, at 22 miles up. That's 116,000 feet. And at that altitude, that's how dense the Martian atmosphere is at the surface, okay? So you've seen people who send balloons up to space, right? They get to about 120,000 and these balloons pop and then they fall down and the stuff falls back to Earth. Sometimes parachutes back to Earth safely. It's really cool. So that's kind of a neat thing. So that's
Charles
what happens.
Kind of had a question along those lines before we get too far. I know you were mentioning the atmosphere and mentioning the color of Mars. Yep. You like saying it's red because it rusted. When we think of rust, we think of oxygen. Charles wants to know, where did the oxygen come from to make the rust on Mars? Because most of the oxygen here on Earth comes from life.
That's right. Well, what happened was, and Charles, that's a very good question, and I will answer that immediately. Tara, answer the man. No, okay. Sorry, I'm kidding. Well, no.
The answer's yes, Charles.
Right. No, on Mars, it was very different because we're looking at Mars now. What we don't see is Mars then. Mars used to have a very heavy atmosphere, and that atmosphere was laden with water, which is 2 hydrogens and an oxygen, H2 and an O. Now, that is wonderful. When Mars had the ability to have liquid water on its surface, there'd be evaporation. That evaporation would create water vapor, which is H2O molecules rising into the air. Well, those H2O molecules, as the atmosphere started to thin, the H2O molecules were getting bombarded with ultraviolet energy from the sun far more easily than they did before the atmosphere was thinning. We can talk about why it thinned too. But the thing is, when that happened, the bonds between the hydrogen atoms in the molecule actually were broken, and now you had this spurious oxygen floating around. Well, hydrogen's very light. Okay, the oxygen atom would actually weigh down the hydrogen molecule a little bit with H2O. Okay, and that would stick around. But when broke apart, the hydrogen would just go off to space, and now the oxygen molecule would float around, and then go down into the ground. And oxygen, as you know, loves to bond with things. So when it would bond with a lot of iron compounds, and that would create the rust that we see. And in the presence of water, we get these different forms of rusty compounds, things like hematite. Okay, and Mars is loaded with hematite, and so we see like these round. They were called blueberries on the first Martian expedition that found them, and they were called blueberries because in the false color images, they look like blueberries. Yeah, pretty cool. But you know what? It turns out that the oxygen ended up being sucked out of the atmosphere into the rocks below. And that was something that there was nothing that would prevent it because the atmosphere thinned over time as Mars' magnetic field began to diminish. That meant that there was no more protective magnetosphere or magnetic field around Mars that could deflect the solar energy from the sun and capture the highly charged particles. They would actually make it all the way to the ground everywhere. And they would do what's called photolysis or photodisassociation. What's that mean? The H2O molecule would be ripped apart, as I said, by the ultraviolet energy from the sun. And ultraviolet just means higher energy. And when that happened, it would actually start the process for thinning the Martian atmosphere. And it continued and got worse and worse and worse until it's to where it is today. That's part of the process. And there was other ideas, other theories. We're learning more about Mars every time. But that's where the oxygen came from. It came from the vast and copious amounts of water that are still on Mars, but locked up as water ice below the surface in many places. When the Phoenix lander landed on the surface of Mars up in the mid-northern latitudes, it landed on what looked like a dusty surface of Martian rock and dust. What it really was, when the jets of the lander blew downward, it exposed the fact that the lander, which blew away a tiny little inch-high coating of dust, had landed on ice, literally a large plain of water ice up there. So there was rock hard ice, as hard as granite, waiting there. So that's where it comes from, Now, I want to kind of shift gears a little bit here because I know that Daryl has some wonderful things to talk to us about with the night sky coming up, and with our review of Sky Tour live stream. I wanted to actually see if Daryl wanted to talk about the coming objects in the sky that we can expect for Sky Tour live stream soon. Are you up for that, Daryl?
Sure.
All right.
Exciting stuff coming our way.
Yeah. All right. So go for it and show us all the beautiful things coming up in our sky.
Okay. Tell me when you see that.
I'm not seeing the shared screen yet.
I'm sorry. I'm kind of rusty with StreamYard. Whoops, there it is. Okay, bear with me.
No, that's what live radio is all about. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Yep, we see it.
There it is. Okay, and I'm going to go full screen now, so I can't see what's going on StreamYard.
And this is Stellarium you're using for the people at home, right?
It is.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, let me get her set up here. Okay, this is my sky from Colorado Springs at sunsets at about 8:11. So here we go, and the sun is setting behind the trees. We're going to start about now and move a ways across the sky over the course of the night. The first thing I want you to see, Venus and Mercury have returned to the evening sky. Venus and Mercury were over in the morning sky with Jupiter and Saturn a few months ago, and Venus raced ahead of Jupiter and Saturn, and Mercury, inside closer to the sun than Venus is, caught up with Mercury, and they both passed behind the sun about the same time. And now they have come back out and are visible in the evening sky. They're still rather low in the west-northwest, but here they come. Venus is really bright. If you wait maybe 15-20 minutes after sunset, you may be able to pick out Venus very bright in the west-northwest. And Mercury is much dimmer, but it is to Venus's upper left. Now, Mercury, because it goes around the sun so fast, 88 days for a complete orbit, Mercury is already it was farthest from the sun in our sky. It's called greatest eastern elongation on May the 17th. Mercury was out about here, and Mercury rounded the corner in its orbital plane as we see it from Earth, and now it is moving back toward the sun. It's going to pass Venus in the coming days and eventually pass between Earth and the sun again. So Mercury is going to go away pretty quick. The Venus is going to keep climbing higher and higher for the months to come, and Mercury is pretty much going to stay in the evening sky for the rest of the year now. So that is the first thing you can watch for. If you want to look for Mercury, you need a pretty good horizon to the west-northwest, and as soon as you can see Venus, well, look to the upper left for Mercury. Binoculars may help. It was a naked eye object, and it's dimming rapidly now. The next thing to notice over in the west, Orion is disappearing into the sunset. The bright star Rigel, Orion's foot or knee as you look at it, is already disappearing with the sun at sunset, and Betelgeuse is going to disappear in pretty short order, as is the brightest star in the sky, Sirius. There goes winter right there, okay? Now, you can still see, I'm going to advance the time, let's give it an hour. So Sirius is gone. Betelgeuse is just about gone. What we called the winter circle, what you see now is the four easternmost stars, Capella, Castor, Pollux, and Procyon. They call that the Arch of Spring. Excuse me. That's really just what's left of the that's just what's left of the winter circle, but they call it the Arch of Spring now. So if you look as soon as it gets dark, you'll see Procyon, Pollux, Castor, and Capella farther up in the eastern sky, northwest to the southwest. And moving on up, well, here comes the primetime stars of springtime. Leo, Ursa Major is already crossing the meridian. There's a satellite right there. And we've got Leo, we've got Virgo, we've still got Boötes up there. And here comes the stars of summer. Hercules, Vega, and Lyra, and we'll get a little farther into that in a bit. Talking about the mythology of the constellations, I like to try to touch on that a little bit when I can. When you see,
for me.
Oh yes, for Amanda. I need to get with you about this, Amanda. We can set this up where you can talk about it since you like it so much. When you see,
you're pretty good at it, Daryl.
Yeah, when you see Leo up in the sky, well, Leo is said to be the lion called the Nemean lion that Hercules killed in the first of the 12 labors of Hercules. You can look up if you want the 12 labors of Hercules. The Nemean lion, he was terrible, fierce. He couldn't be killed by any weapon. The Nemean lion was kidnapping maidens and hiding them and waiting for warriors to come to rescue them, kind of like a dragon does in later stories. And he was killing the warriors. Well, Hercules knew that no weapon could touch the Nemean lion, so Hercules killed the lion with his bare hands. He grabbed it by the front feet and the back feet. There's the back feet down here and the front feet here. And he bent the lion double over his head because he was so big and strong. And he broke the lion's back and killed it. So,
okay, I don't know if I like that story.
Well, didn't you watch the old Kevin Sorbo Hercules shows?
I
That's
did,
right.
but I missed that special. I was more
Yeah.
a Xena girl, so.
Well, I was about to mention Xena.
Yeah.
Oh, Xena Warrior Princess. Here we go.
Oh, yeah. And as I mentioned before, that green line, that's the meridian. That's the line running from south to north that passes straight overhead. When an object crosses the meridian at midnight, that's called a culmination. And if an object is on the eastern horizon when the sun sets, it'll cross the meridian at midnight. And once it crosses after midnight, because of that 4 minutes a day thing, as we go around the sun, it will move from a morning object, if it's east of the meridian at midnight, to west of the meridian at midnight. It becomes an evening object. So anyway, there was Leo. Now, next along the red line, that's the line of the ecliptic. That's the plane that the sun and the planets appear to move in the sky as seen from Earth. That's pretty much the definition of the orbital plane of most of the planets. After Leo comes Virgo and the bright star Spica, which if you can see the figure of the woman there, it's like she's sort of reclining, looking here. And Spica is an ear of wheat. She's holding down by her hip. Now, Virgo, by various mythologies, the Greeks, she was the goddess Demeter, who was the goddess of grains and agriculture. To the Romans, the equivalent was Ceres, Ceres, and that's where the word cereal comes from, I suspect. But anyway, she's toting an ear of wheat on her left hip, and the moon is going to be in Virgo tonight. Virgo was sometimes also said to be a virgin goddess named Astrea. And this is where things get confusing when I go from Virgo to Libra to Scorpius. Some people turned Virgo around and said that Astrea was the virgin goddess that holds the scales of justice, so she was holding Libra the scales up in the air. Take whichever story you like. I like Ceres or Demeter because that still involves the ear of wheat and the star Spica. Moving on down the ecliptic, you've got Libra, the scales of justice. But the weird thing here, and I have mentioned this before, I'm going to advance it a couple of hours. So now this is midnight, a little after midnight. Here comes Scorpius. He's totally up by then. If you see the two brightest stars in Libra, that's called Zubanesh Shamaili and Zubin Janubi. Those represent the two pans of the scales, but what those names mean, Zubanesh Shamaili means northern claw. Zubanesh Shamaili at the top is northern claw. Zubin Janubi at the bottom means southern claw. Going way, way back in time, Scorpius now is approaching at midnight, is approaching the meridian a long, long time ago, thousands of years ago, before the Greeks even, like back in the Assyrian days, Mesopotamians. The two bright stars in Libra were the claws of the scorpion. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's interesting, actually. That's what I like about this, Joe. You tell me things that I don't even know or remember. I had to teach a folklore of constellations class, and you learn it, but then that's the stuff you kind of let drain out of your mind, it seems. But it's really the stuff that you should retain, because that really, you're pointing out so many really cool things that talk about our culture. I really love it.
Well, yeah, it goes so far back. Leo is another one. If you look at that, can you sort of see the shape of a lion? That backward question mark right there. There's the bright star Regulus at the bottom. It's like the exclamation point at the bottom of the question mark. That is the head and the mane of the lion. And Leo Regulus there, some people might say that's the heart of the lion. It's typically considered the foot of the lion. But Leo is facing to the west, and that star there is called Zosma. That's his rear hip. And that star there is called Denebola, which means tail of the lion. You've heard of other stars called Deneb. There's Deneb and Cygnus, the head star of the Northern Cross. Deneb is the tail of the swan, Cygnus, a swan. And there are other Denebs in the sky also. But anyway, Leo is another ancient constellation. They think it's at least 7,000 years old. That's going way, way back in history, prehistory. And the Scorpion is another one. It is another constellation that really looks like what it represents, sort of.
It does.
And a long, long time ago, before the scales of justice, well, those were the there's Antares and Scorpius. That's the heart of the Scorpion. That star there is called Dashuba. That is the forehead of the Scorpion. And here are his arms sticking out, and you see they point toward Zubanesh Shemali and Zubanil Janubi. So there are the arms, and there are the claws. Scorpius is many thousands of years old. It's just one of those things. But after Scorpius, well, still Scorpius. One thing I want to point out, I like to mention this. I know Amanda likes cats.
There you go.
I do too.
When you follow the tail of the Scorpion down, it curls back up, and then there's two little stars at the tip of the tail. That star is called Shaula, and the star next to it is called Lasath. Both those names mean stinger. Those both make the stinger of the Scorpion. Can you see that?
Yep. That's very cool.
I was doing a public program in a star party for the state parks many years ago. And you get all sorts of people at these parties. And there was this one little redheaded girl wearing glasses. She was really stuck up. She goes, I go to Wellesley College, and I'm special and you're not. One thing I always tried to do at public programs was I would teach people where their astrological signs were in the sky. Any Virgos here or any Libras here. Well, she was a Scorpio. And I taught her how to find her sign in the sky. This was summertime. Scorpius was prime time. And this formerly snotty little girl who went to Wellesley College, she was running around like a little kid the rest of the night. I'm a Scorpio. And there it is right there. Do you see it? She was just so tickled pink. That's all she could talk about the rest of the night.
Daryl, I think she's an astrophysicist now out in Hawaii.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't be surprised. But anyway, I don't want to get too far with this. As we get to this point at midnight now, well, here are the stars of pure summer about to cross the meridian, moving into the evening sky. Hercules is still there. Draco the dragon, he's looking at the star Vega. That's his head. That's his eye, or his nose, called Eltonin. And then Ophiuchus, the serpent bearer. He's that's a guy holding a snake in his arms. Serpens is broken in two. That's the head of the snake. It's called Serpens caput, which means head. And then the tail of the serpent is to his right, or to our left or east. That is Serpens cauda, which means the tail of the serpent. Ophiuchus, the whole sign and the snakes. Some say this is related to where the caduceus shape came from. The symbol of medicine, the staff with the snakes wrapped around it, like you see printed on, business cards for doctors and stuff.
That's right.
They say that's where this came from. It's from Ophiuchus. He goes back to, there was a famous Greek healer named, I forget. I'm sorry?
Hippocrates?
No, not. It was before Hippocrates, I believe. And I'm drawing a brain lock here. I can't think of his name at the moment. But he was a famous healer, and he's toting the snakes around, and that's where the caduceus came from. So anyway, after all that, I'm going to cut this off here soon. But here comes Sagittarius. You see the teapot shape. The ancients saw a half man, half horse shooting a bow and arrow. And that's a cultural thing, I guess. And if you want to see the figure, well, there he is right there. There's the half man, half horse guy shooting a bow and arrow. What we see
Leo
now,
too.
huh?
Yeah, you can see Leo the lion that way, so people can visualize Leo as well.
There's
Oh,
Leo, and
yep.
there's the Virgo, and there's the ear of wheat in her hand, and the Scorpion, and
Yep.
well, what they saw is a centaur shooting a bow and arrow. We see a teapot nowadays. Okay, it's an obvious asterism in the sky if you ever get to see it.
Yeah, it is. Can you zoom in on that at all?
I'm sorry.
Are you all? Can you zoom in on this? This is you're doing the online version of this, right? Oh yeah, there you go. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and there's the teapot down in the south. This is really cool. When Mark shows you deep sky objects, the center of the galaxy is right about here, roughly. If you sort of draw a line between Shaula in the Scorpion's tail and the tip of the spout of the teapot, which is also the tip of the arrow the centaur is shooting. That's called Al-Nassel, that star. The center of the galaxy is right off the tip of the teapot on a line sort of between it and Shaula, and maybe up just a hair, but it's right about here is the center of our galaxy. And when Mark shows you like M8 Lagoon Nebula, there it is right there. And M20 Trifid Nebula is right above it. There's a ton of stuff in this part of the sky, and I won't bore you with all of it right now.
Hey, leave it to me to bore people with that.
It's not boring. It's not boring.
You've often mentioned that it looks like the teapot is actually pouring the Milky Way into the sky. So I like that analogy too.
Yeah, especially later in the year. Let's see, I'd have to. Okay, later in the year, as the Milky Way moves west and Sagittarius does, you see the teapot has tipped over, and now the tea is pouring out of the teapot, and the Milky Way is the steam running out of the teapot.
That's cool, yeah. I always like that analogy too, Amanda. That's really cool.
Yeah.
You know, folks, we're going to spend a lot of time in this location in the coming weeks because right near Antares, which Daryl showed you before. Daryl, if you can zoom in on Antares, we can actually show people one of the things we're going to look at. I think it's, right to the right. You can see
the
measure 4. Yeah, but you see a cloudiness around Antares. This is a region of space that is extremely colorful and vibrant if we can actually capture it. And luckily, we're in an area where we can, and we're going to do that. And as he pointed out, the other things that you see over in Sagittarius, Lagoon Nebula, the Trifid Nebula, and then moving up the Milky Way, there is so many more objects that we're going to be looking at in detail and in depth. And the telescope now is far more capable of recording these things. And another thing we can do, folks, is we're going to do something called live stacking. The new system we're using is going to allow us to actually see these objects materialize before our eyes and get brighter and brighter and brighter as more images come in. They get automatically aligned with each other, and that image gets presented to you. So that's all to look forward to with SkyTour Livestream. And, of course, we always have Daryl to show us way more of the sky than we can normally see in the night with SkyTour Livestream. You know,
and for those
astronomer. Go ahead, Amanda.
For those watching at home, you can actually check this out for free at stellarium-web.org. You can actually put in your own locations and, like you saw Daryl do, either go ahead in the night or go ahead in the year and check out what's coming up for you in your specific area, pending clouds.
Yeah, I know, but even if there are clouds, you can come here and look at what you're gonna see tomorrow night when it's clear.
And I like the feature where it actually shows what they're supposed to be, like a picture of a lion behind the actual star cluster, constellation.
Well, Amanda, you often asked, and Daryl has said it very clearly in the past. How is it that the ancients, going all the way back to the Babylonian astronomers, when some of this first became mainstream, basically, How is it they saw an archer in those stars? How is it they saw a virgin in the Virgo stars? And how did Orion is probably one of the ones that looks most like what it's supposed to be, except for Scorpion, right? I mean, Scorpius looks like it's supposed to be. But, we have to remember that we're looking mostly through light polluted skies, and we're not seeing the stars in the full richness that the Babylonians did when there was nothing out beyond a city. Even within a city, you had horizon, Milky Way in many cases because they didn't have electric lights. And it was no distant light that would shine up into the atmosphere and block everything. So we were kind of gypped, we don't actually get to see it as it was. We only see it as it is. And so we're left to wonder how the culture formed. And it's really cool to look at these things and think about what they are and how this came to be.
Yeah. Karen's wondering what they're going to look like 1,000 years from now, even. So,
well, there you go. And Karen, thank you. That's a good question. I know Daryl can answer it as well. The stars are constantly moving. In Skyto Livestream, we've actually looked at Barnard's star, which is a star that's a red dwarf star, which actually is moving so fast that over 6 months we could see a difference in where it is in the sky relative to where it was 6 months earlier. As an example. But all of the stars are moving. Everything you see is moving, and you have to remember that everything Daryl's showing us on the screen here, it's in 3D. Some of those stars you're seeing are very close compared to the stars next to them, which are very far away. All right, so we're looking at a sky, a universe in 3D. And I've always said this, the universe is a time machine. We're looking back in time everywhere we look, so it's amazing. We're seeing Jupiter and Saturn, hours later than the light left them. Pluto many hours later than the light left it, and we see the sun 8 minutes ago. We see Vega as it was 26 years ago, and so on and so forth.
Well, now every time Isabella sees a teapot, she's going to think of Daryl.
Excellent, Isabella. That's a great thing. And go make tea. And when your teapot whistles, remember that Daryl's teapot whistles too on our streams. It's almost like a little signature thing that Daryl's with us because all of a sudden you hear the teapot going off. I love it.
I do that on the live stream, but not on the radio show. Somebody asked for that once, but you thought that was unprofessional. So while I've still got you here, can I talk about what we talked about early in the show about what's going to happen on Wednesday morning?
That's right. Go right ahead, Daryl.
Okay. Now, this is my sky Wednesday morning at, get her steady here. Wednesday morning, May the 26th, before sunrise. Here is the moon. You see it looks funny? There's going to be a total lunar eclipse Wednesday morning. Unfortunately, you're not going to see much, if any of it, unless you're in the western half of the United States.
Oh, shoot. Wait.
Part of the western Hawaii. Mark will have a primetime view. It's going to be awfully low for me, but I will be able to catch this, I think. I'm going to try if I remember. I'm sure I'll remember. It's a matter of if I can get up that early. Wednesday morning before sunrise. This is at about 5:15 a.m. The moon is going to be moving through the Earth's shadow, and it's going to be a total lunar eclipse. The moon is going to set right at the end of totality as seen from here. Mark is farther west than I am, so he will have a slightly better view. One of my sisters lives in Hawaii, and it's going to be prime time for them. It's going to happen about 1 o'clock in the morning. But I saw this happen a couple of years ago from here in Colorado. A similar thing happened. I think it was in January. It was beautiful, and it was really spooky looking because the sun was about to rise. I mean, here's the sun right here. The moon was setting because it was truly full, because that is when eclipses happen, is when the moon is full for a lunar eclipse, or when the moon is new for a solar eclipse. It was a full moon. It was a total lunar eclipse, and the moon was setting just above the mountains here, and everything was covered in snow. The sky was getting bright. The moon was very dusky and it was absolutely gorgeous as it set behind the mountains.
Wow.
And that's going to happen again Wednesday morning.
Wow, that's going to be fantastic, Daryl.
Yeah. So if you live in the western half of the country, that's something to watch for. Again, Amanda, this would be a good time to post that link if you still have it.
Okay.
The Sky and Telescope. There's tons of good information in the article Amanda's going to post there in that link, Sky and Telescope, about the eclipse. You can refer to that after the show, please, for lots more information. And I'm going to end this here. I've talked enough, I think. We'll get more into the. I'm sorry.
You're an astronomer's astronomer. I love it.
I can show you one last thing. Bill made me think of this when he was looking for the Eta Aquarids. We were looking for the radiant point, which was about here in Aquarius. And I showed people how to find the summer triangle, which is Deneb and Cygnus, Vega and Lyra, and that bright star there is Altair and Aquila. That's the eye of the eagle. You see the eagle shape. There are the wings. There's the tail. There's the beak. There's the eye, and there's the top of his head. Homer Simpson saw cowboys. Okay, I mean the ancient Greeks. Well, they saw a centaur shooting a bow and arrow in Sagittarius. Homer Simpson saw cowboys. Some people, what I say, when you look up in the evening sky and see Vega, Deneb, and Altair, makes a great big triangle, and that's where they call it summer triangle. You could say it looks like the big slice of pizza. And that's how I think about it in my own mind sometimes. You know, I go out and I find the big slice, and I know where I am. So there's the big slice for you.
Yeah, it's beautiful. We call it the basically a piece of a spherical triangle, which is a lot less exciting than a slice of pizza.
Well, there you go.
I think I know the answer to this, but chat wants to know. We have a lot of European viewers. Any chance anyone over there is going to see it? The eclipse? No,
Nope.
don't think so.
Nope.
Sorry, guys.
Sorry, it's a big negatory. But you know what? You will see future eclipses, both solar and lunar. There are sites where you can actually go look at the eclipses coming up, and you'll have time to figure it out.
Okay, I'm going to stop sharing here. I think I bored people enough.
No, not at all.
Oh,
Well,
I think people love Stellarium, and now that they know it's free and they can do it, and they see you walking them through it, it's a wonderful asset to have. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Daryl. I know that you've actually you're now we're at a segment called Tara's Cosmos where Tara gets to ask some questions. Remember, that's her right here. And she actually has some questions for us, and they relate to tonight's viewing, Daryl, that you just did. I want to thank you for that. It's perfect
Sure.
segue.
Oh, I see Charles Smarr's comment now that I'm out of Stellarium. Caduceus was the staff carried by Hermes, yes. And the ancient healer, his name was Aesculapius, I believe. I won't even try to spell it, but he was the guy holding the snakes in Ophiuchus.
Oh,
Okay.
and Karen made a comment about your excellent pronunciation. I mean, it would take me a year to pronounce one of those names, but I knew you couldn't see it on the screen. But no, you know your stuff, and everyone says so.
No, we're so happy to have you with us, Daryl. Of course.
Yeah.
We'll
Great.
be. Carry on, Tara.
Well, I'm thinking about all these constellations and all the viewing in the Sky Tour live stream and what we get to see and all these beautiful nebula. And so I guess my question is, are we looking when we're looking during the live streams, or even what you're talking about now, Daryl, on those constellations, are these all within our own galaxy, or are we looking at objects outside of our galaxy, or is it a mix? And
the constellations are all inside our galaxy. They're all in our part of the galaxy. You see deep sky objects sprinkled amongst those constellations, and those can be close. Those can be very far away. Some, like the Andromeda Galaxy, M31, or the M33 Pinwheel Galaxy in Triangulum, those are clean outside our galaxy. They're other galaxies, and we're seeing them millions of light years across space and time.
Yeah, it goes back to what I was saying earlier, which you know well, Daryl, of course, and that is that we're looking at a three-dimensional universe everywhere we look, and so we can see a star cluster superimposed on something that's much further away. And in earlier times, in the 1800s, that actually caused some real concerns with trying to understand things. For instance, I believe is it Messier 46, Daryl, that has the planetary in it?
It is, yes.
There's a cluster. There's a cluster of stars that are just beautiful. All right, and clusters of stars are usually very young clusters, meaning the stars are young. So they've come about in the last hundreds of millions or billions of years, just a short billions of years old, and they're not very old relative to the universe. And if you see clusters like that, you don't expect to see a star that has lived to the end of its existence and is now showing signs that it's becoming a nebulous planetary nebula, which is like the end state of some stars. So it's odd. In Messier 46, this particular cluster has right interspersed in it, you have a beautiful spherical shell of expanding gas from an old dying star. How can you have an old dying star within a beautiful young cluster? Did that star go wrong, go bad? What happened? Well, the answer is actually going back to the three-dimensional universe. You see these two things superimposed, but if you turn to the side, it really shows that the planetary nebula, that nebula is way up here, and the cluster is a lot further away. So it looks like they're right over superimposed over each other because you can't gauge distance without binocular vision, seeing something from a couple light years away on one side and a couple light years away on the other to get the parallax, to get that shift, to see that shift. We can't see that without actually having that available to us. We're basically just looking with one eye at the universe. And having two telescopes on the other side of the Earth isn't going to do it because we need to see something much further away and see from that vantage point, because it's those far vantage points that would give us the ability to detect further distance like that, and again get that parallax to work. So here we see what happens, and superimposed over that cluster of stars is something much closer in this 3D universe that we talk about. And it's 3D and it's a time machine. It's all different. It's all very strange. And it just never gets old. Well, it gets older every day, but the universe never gets old. And when we get the telescope up later this week, hopefully we'll be able to showcase some of that to you.
I think you're going to have a paradigm shift when you get that thing running, because I mean, you're going from an 80-inch focal length to less than 20 inches.
Yeah, we're going to have the new focal length is going to be
a little under 2, right?
Yeah, it's an f2 actually, almost exactly an f2. And like I said, what does that mean? Again, if you have a camera lens, okay, f22 is a tiny little hole that the light comes in. F8 is a little bit bigger. F2 is as big as possible usually, and some lenses go a little bit bigger. Like Bill, our Intrepid production guy, he has an f1.4, I believe, lens. And but the truth is, this f8, which we have now for the telescope, has been expanded to an f2. So the amount of light we're gathering is going to increase the optical speed and capability of our telescope by literally 25 times. And Daryl, I think I'm going to have 25 times the paradigm shift when I see what this does.
There you go.
And I'm spreading that to all the rest of you because I am going to be going crazy. And another thing too, here's what we've done. I'm setting it up so that as the photos are taken, you will have them available to you immediately. I'm going to set up. I already set it up. I just have to hit with the shares, as they say, right? The shares for these. I'm going to make it so that online you'll have a link to go and immediately see all the photos we're taking as they're being taken. You're not. I've set that up. You're not going to end up having to wait for me to do stuff. They'll be there for you to take and do stuff with. So to people like Isabella Melamed in Sofia, Bulgaria, who loves to take our raw photos and process them, she's doing a phenomenal job doing the processes. I'm going to be opening up the processing to the world, and you're going to see these live as they're taken. No processing done. You can do it. But we're going to then process them, and I'll produce them for you anyway. And you're going to get to see the processed ones as well. Of course, that will take some time. But the originals, the actuals, as they're doing them, and the live stacked images that are going to be done stacked as we're taking them will be available immediately online to you. Because as we take the pictures, the computer in the building out there is going to literally take the photos and ship them up to the cloud immediately. And that's going to be fantastic. We're changing the entire fabric of how we're doing SkyTour live stream, and that's the shape of the future. We're going to make it happen like this very quickly, and thanks to everybody on this call with us. To Tara and you, Daryl, and you, Amanda. You all have made SkyTour live stream what it is. I basically had to stop thinking SkyTour live stream was Mark D'Antonio years ago now. And it really is now all of us here that is bringing this to you guys in KGRA Radio Land. This is it. You're looking at the SkyTour live stream team right here. And the only one missing is Marianne. Marianne is our business development person. She's our business manager for SkyTour live stream.
She's the cook too.
She's the cook. That's right. She's actually out there now cooking for, I think there's 10 people that are here now for the dinner. And I don't know why we're having a dinner tonight. Why are we having a dinner?
Because you're here.
No, it has nothing to do with me. I thought this was regular. Was it really? Well, I'm not going out then. That makes me nervous.
Oh.
Tell the people that you eat, or they'll be convinced you really are an alien. That's why you're having supper. Humans need to eat once in a while.
We're eating because we have to maintain our energy and our health.
Yeah.
I eat one time a day, and I drink water during the day, except for today. I did have a pancake breakfast that Marianne made. It was really good. And then I went to see some friends that are living 9 minutes away from me, and I didn't know they were 9 minutes away. For years I've been coming here, and it's just been beautiful. I want to, again, I got to say, it's all coming together now. And we're at the point now where we're finally being able to bring this all to you. We're going to be bringing the telescope to you, live observatory. If all goes well, like it did not go last month, okay? If all goes well, we will be going live maybe even Tuesday, which is a potential. And it'll be rough at first because we're learning all the new software and all the new processes. But I've been using them offline like crazy, trying to learn and get this stuff straightened out. So we'll be doing it. And I think that we're probably going to be in earnest. We're going to be streaming solidly starting this coming Monday, I would say. And that's not tomorrow, but the next Monday. But we are going to try and stream midstream as a test to see what's going on. Maybe Wednesday. Hopefully we can do the moon eclipse. We'll see. Here in Arizona, the moon's going to be a little bit higher in our sky, but we'll check it out and see what we get. I really do think that you guys are amazing, and you've helped us greatly. And I just think that moving forward, I have a feeling that we're going to be very in good company with having you guys with us. Just remember, the desert went from this to this, and that was because of you. This was before the building was there, and this is after. So you guys are my shining stars. So I want to thank you for that. And, even we'll see things like this. We'll be able to take some pictures, not quite as good as this, but we will. And even the dog will think it's great. So we're going to have some fun. I really appreciate you guys attending SkyTour live stream. SkyTour Radio tonight. And so I would like to say, I know we're coming down to the last few seconds here, but I do Commander Anna. That's great. Yes, Commander. Okay, but if you guys stick with us, maybe we'll have a show. We won't have a show next Sunday because of the holiday, but the following Sunday we will be here with bells on because we're going to have lots to talk about and lots to see. So hopefully we'll have a lot to talk about in the coming days with you. And don't forget this thing that moved through the sky and this oddity, that curve you see on the right, I still have yet to explain this curve. It might be a refueling Air Force jet from Luke Air Force Base going through a maneuver, or it might not. I'm not sure.
Don't end this show with a spider. Put her owl back up.
Oh, well, the owl is down here. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. That's the owl.
That's our next contest. What's our Sky Tour owl mascot going to be named?
Well, look, Amanda, if you turn your head and look at that, you could also say that looks like the back of a head of a cat too, doesn't it? But, I know there's bobcats out there and mountain lions and black widows, snakes, rattlesnakes. And then it's just something else to be out there, especially when it's alone and you're alone and it's dark. It's really kind of unnerving sometimes, but I don't want to meet any of the inhabitants and denizens of the desert myself, to be honest. I'm happy. So if any of you guys have any questions and if you want to talk about anything, you can email us at skytourradio@kgraradio.com. skytourradio@kgraradio.com, and we will take your questions. Otherwise, you can join us on the Sky Tour live stream on YouTube, Sky Tour live stream, or you can join us in the chat here, as Amanda has been dutifully following and handling for us with KGRA, and that's on our video feed that we're doing live. So hopefully you enjoyed this live show, and we will be back in 2 weeks. But we will probably be streaming before then. So you folks have a good night. Remember, when you go outside at night, keep looking up.
Except while you're driving.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
Bye. Stay safe and happy.
Bye, guys.
Bye.